Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Shantanu Ganguly, CEO of Strategink, and this afternoon I welcome you all in this webinar titled Business and Innovation Continuity with Secure Remote Data Access. I think in the new normal and unprecedented times that we are all going through today, uh, we are we are realizing more often than not that in the remote working arrangement, having access to the data sets that we require for our business collaboration purpose, and to also make sure that that data sets end to end remain as much secure while we are safely securely able to access it from any parts of the world through the digital networks and digital collaboration mechanism. These uh, access to data and secure access to data are critically important, and then there are multiple solution technologies to protect the data privacy, data security, and our ability to access remotely data in as much secure manner and fashion. To uncover more on this and to learn more on this specific webinar, which is powered by IBM and its partners today, is something that we bring in front of you. We have a very exciting agenda as we move forward this afternoon. So I'll start after this with a little context setting on challenges of remote work, which are fairly set of common challenges which most of us are exposed to or are experiencing, and some of us are aware of it, some of us are not so, those who are not so IT savvy, technology savvy, are not always aware of it, but it's good to know them so that you can then take steps and action which protects you or exposes or reduces the exposure of risks around your data security and data uh, access capabilities. The second element and attraction today is a session by IBM and its partner Inspirtech around enabling and accessing data securely and remotely. They have a very strong solution set which they will expose and orient you through. The third aspect is that you get to see a proof of concept solution live, and I think that's something that I would personally look forward to. That how effectively the solution addresses my specific use cases, my specific work scenario, collaboration scenario. I should be able to get a very direct clue and messaging from the proof of concept that IBM and EasyShare brings to us today. Last but not the least, this webinar platform has a live chat interaction Q&A medium through which you can post your questions, and we have experts from IBM and its partners available live with us today to answer any questions you may have. With that, I move forward to the challenges of remote work context setting. So coming to remote work, as I already mentioned, this was very unprecedented. In our previous pre-lockdown era, uh, many of us worked from home during certain timings and parts of our work or hours or days of the week, but it wasn't 100% work from home or remote collaboration. So now all technology teams, all business teams, all support function teams, maximally all members of any business organization or a government department, we have gone through, and some of us are still going through phases of life where we are only working remotely. And if we try to quantify certain count of people who are under remote work, we have majority of 4.3 million IT and BPO workforce across India who have moved to a remote working model. So of course, as I said previously, that remote work device security often is not at par with what security countermeasures or controls that exist in an office IT landscape. So not all our devices were pre-configured or pre-designed to with the right controls and security tools and I would say arrangements to completely fence it, defend it from various intrusive threats that we may be exposed to from a remote working or work from home arrangement. Of course, in a work from home or remote working arrangement, we always don't have access to our data backup and recovery systems the way we have in our office IT network. So this is something we need to figure out. How do we solve? How do we still protect our very precious data from all our diverse applications? And as we interact with various CIOs from diverse industry verticals, more than half of them agree that data protection, security, and analytics are their number one priority in the current remote working arrangement. Having said that, what are the top three risks around remote working? The common top three risks include home Wi-Fi security protocols that are typically configured. It is not always as stringent as the security protocols of office networks. Of course, there is a risk of phishing scams, certain emails from unknown users with certain attachments or certain enticing offers, which often appears to be too good to be true. All these kind of things, I think most of us keep receiving on a daily basis, and those are something which we need to be all the more cautious about when we are fully operating our business collaboration from remote working arrangement. Last but not the least, insecure passwords or loosely coupled, loosely designed passwords are often an area of exposure, because those who are trying to compromise or attack you need only one weak link to enter your ecosystem, and once they enter, they have access to all your data or all your uh, digital repository and assets. So research shows that during this unprecedented time, or new normal as we call it, almost half the companies had malware on their corporate associated home networks, in comparison to a previous situation where during office operations environment it was only in about 13 to 15% range. So this is again testimony that we need to pay special and renewed attention to having secure remote access of data and protect our data from all possible external risks and threats. With that, I conclude my context setting discussion, and stay tuned. Very soon we are coming up with the next session, which is remote working, secure data access solution talk from IBM and its partner Inspirtech. Thank you and look forward, and I wish you a very, very rich and immersive content driven webinar experience today. Have a good afternoon ahead.
Thank you, Shantanu, for a wonderful insight. Uh, Dear customers, welcome to the webinar. Uh, we understand the current situation, what we are going through, both officially as well as personally. The pandemic situation, which is there globally as well as in India, there are a lot of things which organizations are adapting to. Now is the time we have to live with. Economy has to be opened up. Uh, the way we should be looking about is we can call it as the new normal. In the new normal world, remote workforce is one of the key aspects. But how do we empower them is one of the key challenges from an IT organization perspective. The challenges involve the infrastructure required to enable them, the data access in a secured way, anywhere, any place, anytime. On a typical normal scenario, when I call it the pre-COVID era, so typically we had always had challenges in terms of accessibility of data, availability of infrastructure, the data integrity, and the scalability of infrastructure. These are the typical four bucket of challenges which every IT organizations uh, face. Uh, be it a server sprawl, be it a synchronization issues, be it a performance disparities or a optimization nightmares, and more importantly, the labor cost to manage and to run the infrastructure. It can be on own data center or can be on the co-location service provider. Now, when it comes to data, right, organizations are facing big time challenges, and we have seen that organizations have adopted the concept of hybrid multi-cloud. 85% of the companies operate in a multi-cloud environment today, and 91% of the public cloud users, they have already deployed private cloud in their environment. On a typical and average, an organization have 5 to 6 public clouds deployed. And we, as an individual itself, we use 2 to 3 public clouds when we use our own mobile. So there's a survey which was done in 2018 that 80% of organizations would move their applications or data to a public cloud. And that went true. But the only fact is that 80% of those organizations had stored only 20% of their data. Rest 80% of the scope, they were still contemplating whether they need to move to public cloud or keep on premise. That's where the concept of hybrid comes into play. And with multi-cloud being as an option to clients, so organizations are looking at getting into hybrid multi-cloud. So in next 3 years, 98% of the organizations would have deployed hybrid multi-cloud in their organization. And probably that's the reason why we thought as a technology leader to bring into a concept called IBM Cloud Satellite, which is multi-cloud manager. And one of the key important features is that the data seamless movement between multiple hybrid clouds and on-premise can be easily managed with the IBM Cloud Satellite. Now comes the bigger part from the data. Cyber security is always one of the key challenges. And an average cost of a data breach for an organization in 2018 was about 3.86 million. And the global cost of that WannaCry attack consumed about $8 billion. Now, earlier we used to have the question if the cyber attack happens. Now the question has changed: when the cyber attack happens. There's a lot of difference between if and a data loss or a data breach is one of the biggest issues an IT organization will have. At the same time, the protecting of data is one of the key aspects. We protect from a cyber attack. Similarly, we also try to understand the challenges in terms of infrastructure. How do we protect that data? So we did a survey. In a survey, we figured it out. 60% of the data which is stored on the secondary storage was predominantly to use only for recovery. 73% of the large enterprises, they have gone ahead and started deploying their backup to a cloud. Even though they have the DCDR in place, they would have the disk-to-disk backup, to a tape backup also, but they will also have the option of moving to cloud. Now, the other important aspect is that the odds of experience of data breach has now come to a situation of 1:2. 1 in 2 possibilities of data breach can happen. Why all this? Considering in 2016, the amount of data which is generated is 10 times. Every users are the source of data. Now coming to the post-COVID era, that's what we call it as the remote workforce. Organizations which talk about remote workforce strategy, they are either deploying a telecommuting working, they are working on a virtual working concept, or a cloud working concept, or a mobile working concept. Probably this pandemic situation would be there for next 3-4 months, but for 3-4 months in the future, people are deploying different options. I just got to know about TCS. TCS was talking about 25-25, their plan of 24-25. In 2025, they want only 25% of their global employee workforce to come to office. That means the essence of work from home would be more given when a leader like TCS comes into play. But what it does, it brings challenges to IT organizations. The data availability challenges, the data security challenges, the connectivity issues, which is the most frequent challenges which any user will face in India. And more importantly, the teamwork, the collaboration is one of the key challenges. We know customers have deployed multiple collaborative tools, but the effective use of collaboration comes into play. And its essence comes into play when the remote work from home concept comes into play. and more importantly, the user satisfaction. As an employee, if I feel that I work in an office and get my laptop repaired or serviced, that is more faster and it is easier for me to ensure that I get back to work again. This will not be the same when you talk about the remote work from home. And when it comes to data modernization, right, there are five key reasons why organizations talk about it. One, the business agility is one of the key area. Business demands data at any given point of time. Because when talk about data, data is the new oil. Applications which is BI or BO related helps organization to understand their own customers. Second, applications can be different. It can be hybrid multi-cloud kind of applications. It can be container native applications, or it can be Office 365 kind of applications. All these applications can be used on a multi-cloud environment. And more importantly, when the team which used to work together in the same office, on the same floor, now is in different areas or different geographies, they need to collaborate well and together. And from a IT organization perspective, we have a lot of challenges coming into play. But at the same time, the biggest challenge from an IT perspective is the lower capex which is getting approved in the organization. CFOs are looking at reducing the overall cost. Right now, every CFO's objective is to ensure that the business runs without much of cash crunch. That's their main agenda. And that's one of the bigger problem for IT guys. You would have faced the same in your organization. How does IBM help you to modernize that? So we have divided this data modernization into three buckets. The first bucket is we talk about the people and the process. Here we talk about delivering the data, the right data at any place. It can be a container environment, or that can be a different workloads, or a cloud native workload, or a not too ready cloud workload, which can be either in the form of a blog, a file, or not. We have the architectures in the infrastructure. Really. When we talk about the data, the most crucial part and the most neglected part is the storage. The architecture, which is a container native or a container ready storage, it can be integrated with OpenShift, it can be a CSI native storage, or it can be a integration with Kubernetes. The third part is the technology. Does the technology support multi-parallelism? Are they persistent enough? Are the AI is built into it? Or are they specifically designed for AI? And more importantly, the scalability, which is required to meet all types of work. These are the biggest three areas where IBM can help you to modernize your data. Now, when I talk about a remote data workloads, a lot of people would say, yes, I have deployed VDI, I have deployed an application which helps my employees to access the data frequently, get them connected. We have the emails, Office 365. Everything is fine, but there are a lot of other things which the team needs. That's where the collaboration comes into play. Now, if I talk about the remote data access, which is more of a collaborative nature, so there are two aspects to it: the front end and the back end. The front end is basically a software which helps employees or the users to access the data seamlessly. Given the current scenario in terms of the connectivity, the access to data and the availability of data is critical. So the first portion is the accessibility, which the software comes into. That's where the applications like EasyShare and Aspera comes in. We have tied up with both Aspera is an IBM company, EasyShare is IBM storage ISV. We have tested it. We have made sure that the entire architecture is compatible with IBM storage. And the second portion which comes is the backend integration. In the backend, so whenever there's an application and where you need to store the data, that's where the five key takeaways of modern data modernization comes into play. So either you put it on the backend, it can be an object storage, it can be a file system, it can be a block storage, or it can even be a tape. If you're looking at certain backing up of data for your users, why go on an expensive disk? Go on a tape. That's the kind of integration we have from a collaborative tool. Anyway, my colleague Aaron will take you through the collaborative tool. and the mechanisms which helps you to deploy that in your organization, and the benefits your users can see that. Now coming to the data portfolio. So ultimately, you have a data, you need to store the data. It can be in a hybrid format, it can be in a continuous format, it can be in a virtual machine. IBM has got the entire comprehensive portfolio for data storage. We have the entire flash system ready, we have the elastic storage system, we have the object storage, and we also have something called software defined storage, which helps you to improvise your storage architecture. Why IBM? These systems are fast and efficient. On a 2U rack, you can store up to 4 petabytes of data. And performance 2.25 million IOPS per second with less than 70 microsecond latency. That's the kind of performance you are talking about. That is very simple to manage. It's like set it and forget it. These are highly scalable systems. Highly secured system because of the technologies in like encryption technologies like air gap, which is there, which helps customer to secure the data. It is cyber resilient. You might have cyber attacks, but with the technologies like air gap, encryption, monitoring for anomaly, malware and ransom detection, which is an AI-based mechanism within the system, we are pretty sure that your data does not get breached within the system. Operationally resilient, it's high available. You can create the zero downtime, 2-site and 3-site supported. Talking about integration, easy to integrate with VMware, Red Hat, even with cloud service providers. And more importantly, when you talk about the recovery, which is the key aspect of the incident nature, the recovering from tape, you can recover from a tape, you can recover from a cloud environment, or a container environment, or a immutable storage. These are easy to recover and integrate. How can you buy this? Typically, normal everyone buys as in a capex. This is a outright purchase. We have all the 4 options available. If it's a hardware perspective, you can do an outright purchase. You can also lease it out for a 3-year or 5-year, or you can even use it as a consumption-based model. And when it is a pure software, when we talk about software-defined storage, you can start with a monthly subscription based. It's on a capacity-based licenses. The hardware is a typical capacity of what you buy, whether it is a capex or whether it is in a consumption-based model where you pay what for what you consume. That's it from my side. I will hand it over to Aaron to take you through the collaborative tool of EasyShare and a small demo for it. Over to you, Aaron.
Thank you, Badri. Hi, I'm Aaron Tan from Inspire Tech. The COVID-19 crisis has made a lasting impact on the way organizations do business. Remote work has now become the default work pattern. So what must organizations do to make sure the workers have the systems they need to stay productive? Firstly, organizations will need to understand the workflow of those remote workers and identify the systems they need to access. Secondly, organizations will need to review their existing security infrastructure and assess what workers will need in order to work securely. Thirdly, organizations will need to create a remote work mindset, like updating your company policies for remote workers. IT administrators, in turn, will need to update their system access. All workers must also undergo training, example on data protection rules. Lastly, organizations will need to quickly acquire or scale up their technology capabilities. Tools like secure file sharing and collaboration, video conferencing and messaging, these are just a few examples. And during all these time, while workers are shifting to remote work, hackers are busy sniffing out new vulnerabilities to exploit. Remote workers are having to access corporate systems using their home computers or mobile devices, which the organization may not have full control. Workers may also be using unsecure Wi-Fi networks at home to access the corporate systems. And as workers spend more time online, the more likely they are to encounter malware and malicious websites. So how can organizations safeguard their files? The technology you use will make a big difference. Security is our top priority. With EasyShare, we will protect the information whenever they leave or enter your organization. And with our intuitive interface design based on the Windows File Explorer, workers don't have to waste their time to learn a new tool, because our focus is also on improving your workers' productivity. And from the IT admin view, we are helping them to secure and govern the exchange of sensitive files, complying with your risk and compliance requirements. Let me now walk through the 3 problems a organization may face when its workers are in a remote environment. The workers are busy. They may accidentally save their work files on their personal devices, and in the event of their personal devices crashing, all the files will be lost. With EasyShare, we allow real-time synchronization of files. Each time a file is edited or is completed, it will be immediately synced to a central repository. And if there's a need to restore the file device, he can just simply install EasyShare and the files will be synced and downloaded again. The second problem we might face is during collaboration time. The workers are busy sending email, uploading and downloading attachments, creating confusion with version or file rename. With EasyShare, the worker can now check out a file to edit, effectively locking that file, thereby preventing his co-worker to accidentally overwrite his file. When he is done, he check back in the file. His co-worker can now access that file. EasyShare can also maintain multiple versions of the file. If the worker is unhappy and wishes to restore the previous version, he can do so without the help of IT. The final problem may arise when some workers have no access to files sitting in the office or require IT to grant them access. Today with EasyShare, team leaders can be owners of those folders, and they can grant different permissions to different co-workers. They can also change or revoke permissions if required. So, how do we safeguard your files? We do it on 3 levels. Firstly, on the security level, you will now be sending and requesting files as a link, no longer as an attachment. The recipient will receive a link he will click on the link to download the document or upload a document you requested. The files are encrypted at rest and in transit, and we have included enhanced security features like 2-factor authentication. And if you don't want the file to be downloaded, watermark will be splashed across the document. We can set link expiry date, and we can limit the number of attempts to download. Secondly, on the visibility level, you now have a complete audit logs of user activities. Who sent what file, on which device did he send it, when did he do it, etc. The visibility doesn't end at the user level. We also provide audit logs of system admin activities. EasyShare will track which system admin changed what policy, on what date did he do it, on what device did he do it, etc. All these audit logs are designed to meet the security and compliance requirements. Thirdly, on the control level, you can now manage granular access and permissions at company, group, or user level. I have touched on earlier on about team leaders being made owners of folders, and in turn, they can grant permissions co-workers. For the system administrator, there is a separate portal. You can now manage your user rights and privileges controlling access to devices and folders. What are the additional benefits of EasyShare? From the end user perspective, I have touched on earlier on our intuitive interface based on the Windows File Explorer design, on the versioning, checkout and check-in of documents, and on the smart sync and backup. On the system level, we have three unique features. Firstly, we support an air-gap architecture where data flows only one way from your higher security zone to your lower security zone with a data diode or SFTP one-way connectivity. Next, we have a two-tiered recycle bin, the end user and the system admin. Say the end user intentionally or unintentionally deletes the files, empties his recycle bin, the files are now moved into the admin recycle bin. The admin can now recover the files from the admin recycle bin before they are permanently deleted. The third feature is our true type file verification function. This is a mechanism to validate a given file type by analyzing the file structure and content. With this technology, EasyShare can verify the true file type of any given files and minimize the risk of file type spoofing. We don't claim to be an expert in everything. We do integrate with our partner solutions, example, the antivirus, the encryption, the semantic search, to provide a holistic solution to our clients. We are also platform agnostic. We provide provision for connectors to allow connectivity to major storage environments. Example like your CIFS, so your NAS, your Windows File Explorer, your local drive like your direct attached storage, your block storage, example IBM, your web dev, your hyper-converged storage, the cloud services and the REST-based storages like your AWS, your Azure, your Ali Cloud, your IBM Cloud Object Storage. A quick background on the company. Who is InspireTech? The company was established in 2000. Singapore is our headquarters. We have our sales offices in India and UAE. Our development offices are in Russia and Indonesia. On the bottom, you see 4 products. We have been talking about EasyShare. The one in the middle is Giga Central. This is a tiered file server storage backup solution. The products on the right hand side, one is an on-prem and one is a cloud multi-channel messaging platform. Just an idea who are the EasyShare clients. When EasyShare was first developed about 5-6 years ago, we worked very closely with the government agencies. We are proud to say we have about a third of the Singapore government agencies as our client. From the finance sector, you have got the central bank, you have got the sovereign wealth fund, you have got the Economic Development Board. On the healthcare side, you have got the Singapore General Hospital. And on the utility and transport side, you got the PUB, you got the Civil Aviation Authority of Singapore, the Port Authority of Singapore. And on the technology side, you got the GovTech agency. We do have commercial clients as well. Again, we got healthcare, the Raffles Medical Group. We got from the entertainment side, the Walt Disney Company. From the finance side, we got MSIG, the Japanese insurance company. We do have education sector as well, and the tourism, Sentosa, and the resort world. Now, let me give you a quick demo to show how EasyShare works. This is a desktop client agent. As you can see, the intuitive design is based on the Windows File Explorer. On the top here, these are all your functionality buttons. And on the left here, these are all the folders that you have access to. Now, as you can see, some of the folders has got this black people icon on it. It means that your co-workers have given you access to their folders. On the left here, now you can see some of the folders and files which has got green ticks on them. These are the selected folders and files that I have chosen to sync. Those without will not be synced to the central repository. Now, let me double click to open a sync file to edit. As you can see, the file now has been checked out by me. Let me just quickly do some editing and save this document. Once I'm done, the file is automatically synced and you will see that the green tick will return. Now, let's say you are unhappy with the current version of the document. We can click on to show versions. This will show all the various versions of the document. You have two choices here. You can either choose to download the version to your device, or you can choose to restore the version. Finally, let's say you are working on a project and you want to share a folder with your co-workers. Let's say I want to share this sales sample folder with the co-workers. I double click on it to say manage. Now you can see the various roles here. Depending on whether you want to give them the right to create, to edit, delete, you can choose on the appropriate permission. Let me say I want to choose Max as a person on the project. I assign him the author role. I can also set an expiry date so that after a certain date and time, he will loses the access to this folder. I have now come to the end of my demo. I hope I have shown how EasyShare can easily work with IBM Flash System or ICOS. Together, our combined offering will provide you with a secure alternative to consumer-grade file sharing solution. Thank you.